let's introduce to our audience the legendary godfather of conspiracy theories, the mighty Jordan Maxwell. Thank you, Jordan, for being with us today and for also being very playful with us and with Colin, especially our Mad as a Hatter moderator.
Leo, I appreciate that so very much, Leo. Always happy to be on the air with you. Always happy to be with you.
It's going to be a great show. And today we're going to give also, for the occasion, for the first time, the possibility to some of our viewers, of course, just a limited bunch, to be able to call in. We're going to be giving this number out soon. But before we do that, we're going to be talking, of course, of what is happening nowadays. And also, let's do a brief excursus on the history of Christmas, of this holy period of the year, which is holy for the Hanukkah, is holy for the solstice.
The Anunnaki. The Anunnaki. The Hanukkah is Jewish, man. Forget about Italian pasta, man. Focus. Focus. Please.
It is a very particular time of the year, Jordan, and you are the specialist. So you have to really tell us more about it. First of all, remember that a bunch of people are going to start saying, oh, but Jordan says that is the festival when Horus is born, this and that, the Mithras, whatever. The floor is yours, Jordan. Please.
Well, I appreciate it. The Christmas celebration is a wonderful time of year. I love Christmas. It's a wonderful time of year. But I understand it. I understand it from a historical point of view, what Christmas is. Christmas is called, in the thousands of years ago, they celebrated Christmas, but they didn't call it Christmas. They called it the winter solstice. And the idea was that the sun, when it's in the northern hemisphere, the first day of summer. This is important. The first day of summer in the northern hemisphere, in America, in the northern hemisphere, the first day of summer, the sun is as high in the northern sky as it's going to go. It doesn't go any further north. It doesn't go any further north than the first day of summer. Now, on the first day of summer, the sun, because it's directly overhead, right here in the north, we say he's really hot. He's really hot. And now, because when you're really special, people say, oh, he's really hot. Well, the sun is really hot on the first day of summer. 90 degrees or 90 days later, everything is divided into 90. From 1 to 90 is a quarter, and from 90 to the 180 is a quarter, and from 180 it goes around to 360. That's 4 quarters makes up 360. 4 times 9, 36 is 360 days of the year. But that's why all governments in the world have to have at least 5 holidays each year. No matter what country you're in, you need to have 5 holidays. Why? Because the way the world works is we live on 360 days a year. And it's a quarter. So it's spring, summer, autumn, winter. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The 12 apostles represent the 12 signs of the zodiac, or the 12 months of the year. And so once you understand how they laid this religion out, it's actually the worship of the sun. And the sun, in English, you talk to an English professor, which I have in England, and they tell you that there is something called the lazy O. You look it up in a dictionary, lazy O idea in English. A lot of people who study English and know English never heard of the lazy O. But the lazy O, I am told by British professors at Oxford, that it's something called the lazy O, which means that when the English was being developed, they developed 2 words that sound the same, son. That's why when you have a boy and you get married, you have a boy, he's your son, S-O-N. But in the religion of Judaism and Christianity, the Messiah was called the Sun, S-U-N. And that's why Christians go to church on Sunday, because it's worship of the sun. So they call it Sunday. But today, the Hebrews, the Jews, worship their god, the sun, but they worship on Saturn Day, because their god is actually the planet of Saturn. Saturn is the god of the Jews. Today, Hebrews around the world worship the god Saturn.
Now, Jordan, the Jews suffered a lot of internal schism and heresies, especially when we had Sabbatai Zevi, Jacob Frank, and
Right.
all that Sabbatai Frankist movement, that Sabbatai and Frankist movement that nowadays everybody is talking about, at times even in an improper way. What is your point of view regarding this very controversial topic?
Well, I know that I've been able to go back into ancient history, because our religious belief systems go back to the Northern Hemisphere. In Christianity, all of our beliefs in Christianity come from the Northern Hemisphere, not from the Southern Hemisphere. We don't have very much in Christianity that comes from the Maya and the Incas and the Aztecs. We don't have that. What we believe in Christianity comes from the Northern Hemisphere. That's important to remember, so that you begin to understand that when we're worshiping our Messiah, who is referred to as the risen Savior, he is our risen Savior. Why? Because he rose, and he promised he would rise again, even though he was going to die. And so the idea is that from the first day of summer, 90 degrees later, 90 steps around the circle. 90 steps is 90 days. And in 90 days from the first day of summer becomes the first day of fall. So he used to be hot. God's son used to be hot, but now he's not hot anymore. He's falling.
The Muslims celebrate each week on Friday their prayer day, which is the day of Venus, no? What is their connection? Because their symbol is really the moon, but they have this connection with Venus.
Well, Venus is the goddess of love. And so Venus, we get Venus from one of the constellations of the zodiac called Virgo. Virgo is one of the constellations of the zodiac, and Virgo is the Virgin. And so that's why in the first day of spring, when the sun has gone far south, when
you want to show something, yeah?
Yep.
Actually, I just want to add, that's why Western civilization writes from the right. You start from the from the left to the right, while the other civilizations start from the right to the left. Right?
Now,
that's right.
While you are searching something, Jordan, I would like also to welcome our viewers that today are starting to tune in, even if we start a little bit later from our original previous schedule. I think this is going to be a very successful show, because we want to honestly also understand more about Jordan the man. Jordan the man, you told me before we went on the show, I learned about faith from my wife, and I was very touched by this, and I wanted to know a little bit more about this particular topic.
Leo, hang on. There's a message from our supreme leader. He wants to say something.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
And make Christmas great again, thanks to Donald Trump, too.
Absolutely.
One of his achievements, huh?
Absolutely. In fact, we have in the background, which is actually my own Christmas tree.
I will make a prophecy.
Oh, my God.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Maxwell is making a prophecy.
Yeah. I'm going to make a
prophecy. The last prophecy.
Okay. Go for it.
I believe that next October, we got almost over a year. Next October, we're going to see some terrible, terrible tragedies happening in America. Revolutions, violence, overthrow of the government. terrible things are going to happen in October or begin to happen in October and will continue through December.
Now,
It's going to be
are you saying this because of what is happening politically, or what is reflecting in the astrological sense?
an astrological.
Okay, so there is a convergence here of the elections, the next elections, of course,
November.
but
Yeah.
then there is also a convergence with some particular planets that are coming together. Which are these planets, Jordan?
That's the what's coming together is Mars. Mars is the god of war, and Scorpio, the constellation of Scorpio. Scorpio represents a scorpion, and scorpions are deadly. They're backbiters. They hit you from the back. They're backbiters. And so scorpions are deadly, and Mars is war.
Now we opened the show
and also the President Trump, his birthday. President Trump was born so that next year, in his birthday, Mars and Scorpio are going to hit together on him. He's going to be hit by Mars and Scorpio. Well, that's talking about war that's deadly. Scorpions are deadly.
We have seen at the beginning of the show this insane person, which is Nancy Pelosi. And before we started the show, you yourself told me she should be removed from anything she's doing because she's literally insane. Your prophecy, is it concerning the fact that the Democrats will not be able to overthrow Trump with their farce impeachment, and they will basically unleash on the U.S. their Antifa craziness and all the rest?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. They are so intent on getting rid of Trump that they are like mentally deranged. They want him out so bad, and if he doesn't go out and he turns on them, and they find out that he's not going to be that easy to overthrow. He's got powerful friends behind him. Very wealthy and powerful people in the world are betting on him, and they have the money and they have the power and the political clout to make sure he stays in office.
But he also has most of the Americans with him, Jordan, because America is doing great. I mean, unemployment is down. Everything is going well in the stock market. And we can say that, generally speaking, Americans are actually better with Trump than they were with Obama or with Bush or with...
Well, Obama was nothing more than a turncoat traitor. He was a traitor to this country and to Western civilization. He should have been chased out of town and most people wouldn't even look at such a goofball.
But instead, he got a millionaire book deal. He got another deal with Netflix.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you sell out. Sell out, that's what happens. You get big movie deals, big book deals. You make lots of money, get all the prostitutes and all the whores. Why? Because you sell out. You're not worthy of being called a man. You're a sellout. You sell out to the enemies of this country. And that's what he did. That's why he can buy beautiful $1 million homes in Abu Dhabi. Why? Because he sold out to the traitor, like a traitor would. He sold his country. He sold his country out.
Vineyard there.
He's got a mansion, exactly, Martha's Vineyard, 100 yards away from the beach. And he was claiming all the time when he was president, there was global warming and the rise of the waters. And then he goes and buys a property 100 yards away from the beach. Come on.
Jordan, I want to have an opinion from you. I was really looking forward for this show to ask you this question today. What do you think of Greta Thunberg? Because I have seen in the actions of Greta Thunberg those antichrist actions, also aligned with that Maitreya style that was implanted in the United Nations. Suddenly we have her appear in front of the world out of nowhere, There was apparently a camera already when she was in front of the Swedish parliament from the very beginning. She was really raised for this role. What do you think of Greta Thunberg, Jordan Maxwell?
What was the name again?
Greta Thunberg, the Swedish girl who is
put it up.
basically becoming the voice of this big climate change farce.
I know many years ago, I heard, well, I can't remember his name, who was talking about Maitreya, the prophet Maitreya was coming. And I went to see him in his office. He had
Benjamin
an office.
Krim. Was that Benjamin Krim?
Yeah, Benjamin Krim.
Yeah.
I went to see him in his office in North Hollywood, California. He had an office in North Hollywood. And I went there to see him because I was interested in what he was talking about, Maitreya. And then I found out that he's nothing more than a front for the Illuminati. He was just a front, like all these other religious leaders who are running for office and talking so publicly. Then you find out they are being financed by international bankers who give them money to go out and preach and tell the world what the bankers want to hear. And so that's why I now know that this whole idea of Maitreya and the last days and the Messiah and all that stuff is nothing more than Masonic philosophies. It's a very ancient philosophy adopted by the Masonic order.
But I will also specify that it's not the whole Masonic order here, but that part of the Masonic order which walked out in 1877 with the Grand Orient of France and gave the basis to the Theosophical Society for their co-Masonry, which let also women within lodges, and Annie Besant started to work on the first project, as we know, also with feminist groups, but also on the Maitreya with Krishnamurti. So they all really fit together, these things.
They do. That's right. They do all fit together. And the whole idea of the Theosophical Society with Helena Blavatsky laid out the plans for what I know to be the communist revolution throughout the world. There is a very dark part of the world politics today that people don't see. But the real money, the powerful people in the world who are behind the secret societies, who finance these secret orders, they are pushing the idea for a world revolution called World Revolutionary Movement. And this is why they're making movies in Hollywood about the World Revolutionary Movement. The James Bond movies were all made about powerful people behind the world scene causing trouble in the world. According to the whole world was being caused trouble by the Illuminati. And this is what you see in the James Bond movies. And
the
James
world
Bond
is
always,
the golden eye.
That's it. And the last one, what's the last one that just came out called Spectre?
The one that they did in Rome, the one which, of course, was evidently based on a plot with a secret society, because for the first time, the spectre was really portrayed with a ring, with a whole structure, which, of course, also emanated from Rome. Rome is the place, like we discussed.
Rome is the center for all of it. All roads lead to Rome.
And actually, we were discussing this yesterday on my show with my co-host, John Barnwell. The importance of Rome is often underestimated by people here in the United States.
No doubt about that.
And I showed the pictures and actually a video of Nancy Pelosi going with a bunch of Democrats to almost worship and kiss the hands of the Italian president, who is from Sicily, in 2016, and everybody was like, what is she doing? All these Americans, and they are the same politicians who are now impeaching Donald J. Trump. So we are...
And we today we call the Pope the Holy Father. Why is he the Holy Father? Well, because he is our connection with God. He's our
alleged connection with God, because it depends.
So if he has connections with God and he's the Holy Father, then he is the Godfather.
He's definitely the Godfather. That one, there is no doubt on that.
That's where that comes from. Godfather. Pope represents God, and he's the Holy Father. And we're in Rome. Go back to Rome. All roads lead to Rome.
But in fact, Spectrum could be the Spectre, the organization in the James Bond movie could be accumulated to the organization called the Entity, which is in the Vatican, presiding over all those matters, interfacing with Secret Service operatives. But of course, then we have also the Jesuits. So we have the Jesuits who have been working for hundreds of years to sabotage Protestantism and basically becoming the bulwarks of counter-reformation. So,
are you aware, let me ask you something, are you aware of a particular church in Rome called the Church of Jesus?
Sure, it's in Piazza del Gesù. I've actually made a documentary which I think is on my channel, and people maybe are able to check it out from my old. I did this documentary because you see, Piazza del Gesù is a very important place in the old days.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. You're right. It's very important place.
Actually, we have Colin who is playing around. Maybe he can find some images of it. It's definitely a place where they brought tons of gold from South America, and they built this lavish church to then. It's basically the mother church where all the Jesuits are initiated. One thing that the people need to understand is that the Jesuits don't have any form of democracy. The general decides for every office in every single house of every single province. So it's basically a complete dictatorship.
And in order for him to do that as well as he does it, it implies he has demonic direction. He's not doing it on his own. He's being led by demon forces to do what he does.
Now, in my latest book, which is coming out next week, and I'm going to send you because it's based on all this, and it's a book I'm sure you will appreciate. I talked a lot about the spiritual exercises of Ignazio Loyola that were devised by Ignazio Loyola inside a cave. Now, inside the cave, there is specific kind of energies, Jordan, and you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
So please tell us more about what you know. It's like Mohammed in a cave. No, then you have Ignazio Loyola in a cave. You always have these people who are picking up some form of contact from a cave.
That's right. And that's why today, in all our sci-fi movies, they always have caves where they're meeting the extraterrestrials, they're meeting underworld organizations. Caves have always been connected to mysterious meeting places that people go to. Certain kinds of people go to the caves and have their secret meetings. I've been to some of those caves in Los Angeles. I've been to some caves up on the mountains of Los Angeles overlooking Hollywood. Some really very interesting caves with all kinds of strange writing on the walls, paintings.
And these caves are secret to the majority of the population.
Yeah, the majority of the population don't even know they exist. I was taken there to see this place, this cave where they have human sacrifices. I was brought there by one man who knows about it because he worked for the big studios and he knew about these places where they do the rituals, they do the sacrifices. And he called me and said, I want to take you out. He called me and said one morning, I want to take you out to breakfast, Jordan. I want to talk with you. And I work for the big studios. I work and drive the big trucks for the studios. And you were talking about the human sacrifices and all the demonic depravity and the demonism. I know all about it. I want to take you and show you those places. So he came by and we went out to have breakfast, and then he took me to the caves up in the Hollywood Hills. And I've seen places where they had human sacrifices. I've even seen the altars where they laid the babies on the altars. I was there. I wasn't there when they did the sacrifices, but I've been there where it happened, and I know where it is today. and a lot of people don't know it's right in the middle.
Somebody wrote on the comment board Bronson Caves.
Yeah,
Is
the
that-
Bronson Cave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm showing them now.
Hmm.
I was actually looking for them. The Bronson
Okay,
Cave.
let me show them to our viewers. So where are they based? Near LA, eh?
Near
Yeah, it's in Los
Angeles.
Angeles.
Okay. Colin, if you could keep the images that you had before, so I could, because I don't.
I wish I would have known. I
Sorry.
took of that cave. I have pictures I took of that cave with all the writings on the wall, and they have fire pits. That's it. That's where I was at. I've got pictures
This
of me
Bronson
standing
Cave,
right
yeah.
there, and I have pictures of the round holes in the ground where they made a fire, where they were burning flesh, and it was. And I've got all kinds of pictures I took of that area. I walked right through all that area. That's what I was talking about.
Hey Jordan, do you remember these experience with this actor and the chauffeur that took him to a place in Mulholland Drive? And then
Yeah, I
opened up.
think. Yeah, there's a place up on Mulholland Drive I was taken to. I know where it is. I was taken there to see the altar where they put people on the altar and sacrifice them. So, I mean, that's what I was told, and that's what I saw. I saw blood on the altars. And so I'm not surprised. It doesn't surprise me that something like that's taking place in Los Angeles. I totally believe it is because I was there and I saw the remains. And so there's a lot of strange, dark magic going on in Hollywood.
Now,
where
is this connected also with the ley lines that are supposedly going through Hollywood and that are specific to the energy that also?
I think there might have. I think there probably is something to do with ley lines because geomancy is very big among these magicians. We talk about the magic of Hollywood. That's important. There is a magic in Hollywood, but it's not sleight of hand. You know, when you see the magician play with his cards, and do all of his tricks with the cards.
Is magic with a K.
Yeah, it's magic with a K, but it's
Like,
not real magic.
Aleister Crowley, yeah.
It's called sleight of hand. Watch his hands the way it's moving. Called sleight of hand. But that's not real magic. Magic comes from the word magi, M-A-G-I, magi. Magic is occult supernatural powers around you. And they're making movies about these things.
Well, also because magus is in Latin connected to the image. So the projection of an image for magical means is basically what is happening in Hollywood. Right.
Now, I don't know if you've heard me say this before. I'll say it again because it bears witness to what we're talking about. In Europe, before the Roman Empire existed, in Europe, there was already a large population in Europe, north, east, west, and south of Europe. There was already large amounts of people. There was no Roman Empire, but there was a lot of people living in Europe at the time. And when the Roman Empire came into existence, started taking over all those little groups of people and bringing them into the empire. But those groups of people that were already in Europe before the Roman Empire existed, they were called Druids. And Druids are where we get today what we call Judaism. The Jews today are the Druids of yesterday. And so in Europe, the Druids were a very powerful civilization in Europe. North, east, west, and south of Europe was Druidic. And this is why anything that happens in the north, east, or west, or south becomes known as news, N-E-W-S, north, east, west, and south. And so in Europe before the Roman Empire, there was a very important organization of humans living in Europe, and they were called Druids. And they had a very powerful symbol for their power, their magical power. And
Now-
that magical symbol was a magic wand.
Now,
Like-
it's been in archaeological discoveries that have been done in recent years. It's been confirmed once again that the Druid did human sacrifice.
Yes.
Now, we know that in the last 300 years, aside from speculative Freemasonry, we had also rising two groups of Druids, of modern Druids. One of them also saw the membership of Winston Churchill, Sir Winston Churchill, we are seeing now. And basically, they involved also the Queen of England, who, of course, after her coronation, participated to one of the rituals. Do you think the modern Druids that we see once a year in Stonehenge are still in some way connected to human sacrifice?
You know, I tend to think not, because the idea of human sacrifice has become so reprehensive to the people of this world. I don't think that they would, I don't know, I might be wrong, but I don't think that the modern day Druids would involve themselves in something like blood rituals of humans, because it would be very bad for business if it ever came out that they were actually sacrificing humans. So I don't think they're actually doing that anymore. But they symbolically do that.
Okay.
Like
a sort of mocking sacrifice, like we saw in the Bohemian Grove when Alex managed to get in and film, that kind of thing.
Well, what I was going to say is that the Druids, one of the most important political symbols in the ancient Druid community in Europe, was a magic wand. Like the Merlin the magician with his magic wand, and Moses with his magic wand. And look at all the different prophets in the Old Testament Bible, they always carried magic wands. And all over Europe, in churches in Europe, they will have pictures of drawings and paintings in churches all over Europe of Jesus raising the dead with the magic wand, and Jesus doing this and that with the magic wand, and feeding the children, feeding the poor with magic wands. And then you also have orchestra conductors leading the orchestra. He's orchestrating the music with a magic wand. The point I wanted to make is that magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. Magic wands were made out of holly wood. And this is why today we have something in Southern California called Hollywood. The magic of Hollywood. No, the magic of Hollywood is legitimate, de jure, real spiritual magic that's going on in Hollywood. It's not the wonders and the beautiful ideas or in Hollywood in the movies. No, real stuff is going on where the sacrifice.
But in fact, what I suggest Colin should go and search now is not only a documentary made on Kenneth Anger about Hollywood Babylon, but also I think it was 1991. I'm not sure. No, I don't think it was 1991, but I think it was 2001 when they eventually placed this sort of shopping mall, which is now next to the Kodak Theater, which is all built like resembling this famous film which shows the gates of Babylon. And basically, they are showing the images of Enki, and it's right in your face. It's like they are not hiding anymore.
They're not hiding anymore. It's the reason why they don't need to hide it anymore, because the power that comes from that ancient magic is so legitimate. It's real, and you don't want to mess with it, because you can get killed playing with that kind of magic, because it's so strong and so legitimately real. That's why they don't have to hide it anymore. It's a ritual that brings on profound power, political power and monetary power in Hollywood. And therefore, they don't need to hide it anymore. There's nothing you're going to do about it. You just continue to support Hollywood by going to movies and paying the money to go to see the movies, never realizing you're paying the big studios to go see the demonic depravity that the druidic Hollywood is putting out into the world today. And this is why our world that we live in is so loony today. It's so crazy. So many things going on. Alcoholism, drug addiction, wars, violence, youth and revolutions, etc. It's all because of Hollywood. Hollywood has been propagandizing the world.
But there is a positive sign in the last year, actually in the last couple of years. Hollywood is really losing a lot economically as an industry, is really going through a crisis because they are not grasping anymore the attention of the majority of people who are not feeding into the rubbish anymore. They are not believing into their propaganda machine any longer. When a Hollywood star comes out today criticizing Donald J. Trump, like for example the actress from Star Wars, as soon as the film came out, and it happens with every single actor, they always have to talk with nonsense, which is, I couldn't care less if Robert De Niro dislikes Trump. I might like his movies, but the fact is that in the last couple of years he's been so hideous in what he has said that I don't watch even his movies anymore, Jordan.
I know, I don't either. But you are aware that there is something going on in Hollywood, that when one actor dies, there'll be two more. There's always three people in Hollywood who are very important. Always when one dies, three die. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, well, it sounds like a Chinese in Italy. When they never die in Italy, they always get replaced. They are
I
immortal.
can imagine. Yeah.
No, but I understand the concept. It's like they are transmitting their office to posterity, basically, you're saying, Jordan.
Well, I'm just saying that the whole idea of being a celebrity in Hollywood implies that you are under the power of some sort of a hidden, dark energy of power and political power in Hollywood.
Now, Jordan, we are having 1 week from now on my show, maybe the only Hollywood person that has the courage to rebel to all this, which is Roseanne Barr, a very controversial actress, comedian.
What was her name?
Roseanne Barr.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
She's going to be joining me next week. I think that really it takes courage to rebel to all that, because, I mean, she has obviously lost everything last year when she went against the system, a couple of years ago when she started to really...
Yeah, I heard.
What is what you would like to say to her?
Oh, I would love to talk with her in private.
Okay.
Because
I will tell her that. that. So, Jordan, we are in the year 2019. Next year, we are in the year 2020, a year that has been talked about for a long time. It's a very particular year. We have talked already before about the astronomical connections. How is going to kickstart this new year?
Well, let me tell you something. I'm wondering if there isn't a connection here, the spiritual connection with next year that a lot of people have missed. Because perfect eyesight, we are told that perfect eyesight is 20/20 vision. If you have 20/20 vision, you can't get any better than that. You got perfect vision, 20/20 vision. Well, next year is 2020, and I'm assuming that we're going to see some stuff next year we're not going to believe, because you're going to have perfect vision and you're going to see some stuff you didn't know existed. And so it wouldn't surprise me if that 20/20 vision is going to shock you when you see what's really going on, and we're going to see it with 20/20 vision.
Our supreme leader has 30/30 vision.
ISIS has spread like cancer.
Now, Jordan, in the last 3 months in particular, I have written a series of articles, and actually I've included a lot of these topics also in my book, which is coming out next week, volume 4 of my confessions. First, we had the Pachamama controversy, the procession during this Amazon synod with these statues then thrown into the Tiber and then recovered. Then we have Moloch placed at the entrance of the Colosseum. Now, last week, I've also wrote about an image in a contemporary art museum in Rome of Jesus with an erection. And on top of all this, on a Sunday evening last week in Rome, they were singing a Marxist song known as Bella Ciao during the Mass, honoring communism in a Catholic church. All this is frustrating traditional Catholics that are saying that the 7 years of tribulation of Pope Francis will end because he has been elected in March 2020. It will be 7 years since he has taken his office. And at that point, they foresee the destruction of Rome. Your thoughts on this, Jordan?
I think that we as humans have been led to believe things which are based on occultism that's not of this world. I am totally convinced that there is, in point of fact, extraterrestrial intelligence. And that extraterrestrial intelligence has given us our religions, our philosophies, and our political opportunities in our governmental systems, and it continues to lead our minds along some kind of a preordained occult connection to something which is coming in the future. The whole human race is being completely reformed and rebalanced. We're becoming a totally different kind of creature with the artificial intelligence, with our high technology. We are now, as humans, being led into a new world order. And I believe that new world order has been planned for a long, long time by Rome and the powers. Rome is not the problem. It's the secret societies behind the Roman Empire. The money behind the government is where the real trouble is. It's like in America. It's not the U.S. government. It's the people, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the people with the big money who are behind the government. And they make sure the government does what they want done. And so when you see the wars and see all the criminality, that's all the bankers who are financing the organization. They're financing the government. And so that's why we don't have any way to stop it, because we don't have the money to stop it. But the international bankers like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Warburgs, and all these guys with the big money, they have lots of power because they have the money and the power. And so they are causing our government to do things which are getting us in more and more trouble. But that's what they want. They're financing our ultimate destruction. And we just go along with it. And once in a while, you get a president that knows what's going on and doesn't want to have anything to do with it, like Trump. And the first thing you find out is they want to kill him. They want him to be assassinated. They want to kick him out. Why? Because the big bankers, they don't want this.
Rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people.
We got there, Uncle Donald, and we got a number just right there. You guys can call in. There's 970-577-6369. You can leave a message.
And we have our first caller ever.
We have a winner.
Hello. Welcome to the show. So who we have here?